People always share breakup horror stories like they're juicy gossip, but I swear nothing could have prepared me for mine. I've been crashing in my friend Janet's spare room for the last 4 days, and I still can't stop jolting whenever I hear footsteps in the hall. The blinds stay sealed shut day and night. I sleep with a kitchen knife under my pillow, like some paranoid version of myself I don't even recognize. This was never supposed to be my life. Everything started unraveling 3 months ago, right after I ended my engagement with Owen. We'd spent nearly 5 years together, and the first 3 were actually good, stable, sweet even. But the moment he slipped that ring onto my finger, it felt like ownership, not love. The shift came quietly. He started by asking innocent questions about who I was texting, or why I didn't pick up right away. Then he wanted to see my location, for safety. Soon, every missed call became an interrogation. The jealousy turned into something darker. He began dropping by my job unannounced, scrolling through my social media for clues of imagined betrayals. Every time I tried to talk to him about how suffocating it felt, he twisted everything until I ended up apologizing to him. At the time, I thought I was losing my mind. Now I know it was gaslighting. There were nights I'd wake up to find him sitting beside me, the blue glow of my phone lighting his face as he scrolled through my messages while I slept. Once, I caught him at 3 in the morning, eyes glassy, scrolling like a man possessed. When I demanded to know what he was doing, he said he just loved me too much to risk losing me, that he needed to be sure, and I believed him. God, I believed every word. When I finally broke things off, he acted calm, too calm. Owen was never calm about anything, especially not rejection. He nodded, said he understood, and left without a scene. I remember the wave of relief that hit me, foolish, naive relief, thinking maybe I'd escaped without chaos. For 2 weeks, there was nothing. No calls, no messages, no surprise appearances at my door. I started sleeping again. I even let myself smile when a guy from work asked me out for coffee. For the first time in months, I felt normal. Then the messages began. At first, they were harmless. Hey, just checking in. Hope you're okay. Then came the nostalgia bombs. Old photos of us together with captions like, remember this? We were so happy. Then he started sending screenshots of that coworker's Instagram posts, followed by strings of question marks. Soon, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Dozens of calls a day. Most ended the moment I answered. The voicemails changed tone each time. First sad, then furious, and finally, disturbingly calm. The last one before I blocked him still rings in my head. You'll come back. You have to. We're meant to be. I've never been so sure of anything. I blocked his number. Every account. Every email. He just kept making new ones. Then I started finding notes tucked under my windshield wipers. My apartment manager promised to watch out for him, and I tried to convince myself I was still in control. Then came that Friday. I left work early with a migraine and thought a nap might help. But the second I opened my apartment door, something felt wrong. It's strange how your body knows before your brain does. The air felt too still. My bedroom door was closed. Something I never do. I hesitated, told myself I was being paranoid, then pushed it open. What I saw made every hair on my body stand up. Hanging on the wall above my bed was my wedding dress. The same one I'd returned to the boutique months ago. Somehow, he'd gotten it back and nailed it to the wall. Not hung. Nailed. Thick framing nails pounded through the delicate silk, tearing holes straight into the plaster behind it. The dress was spread wide, arms outstretched like a crucified body. The bodice had been ripped open right down the center, but even that wasn't what froze me. It was the bed. Carved deep into the wooden headboard, in jagged, furious letters, were the words, "You belong to me forever and always." At first, I thought the black shapes scattered across my sheets were rose petals, but when I touched them, they left dark smudges on my fingers. Burned petals, or maybe dyed. I couldn't tell. They formed a heart around my pillow, and on the nightstand sat what looked like one of our old engagement photos. Only it wasn't. It was a photoshopped image of my face pasted onto a corpse's body. My stomach dropped. My knees nearly gave out. Then I felt the air shift behind me. Before I could turn, his hands were around my throat. I hadn't even heard him come out of the closet. He squeezed until the world started to flicker around the edges. He forced me backward onto the bed, pressing me into those black petals. I could hear his voice, broken and furious, right against my ear. "If I can't have you, no one will." His spit hit my cheek. His rage felt endless. "You think you can just throw away 5 years? You think you can just leave me? I'll always find you." I was seconds away from passing out when my neighbor's dog erupted in a barking frenzy outside. The noise startled him just long enough for me to slip a hand into my pocket. I'd been carrying pepper spray ever since the stalking began. Somehow I got it out and sprayed straight into his eyes. He screamed and staggered back, clawing at his face, howling that he'd kill me. "You're dead. Do you hear me? Dead." I ran. No purse, no shoes, nothing. I bolted down the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator and hit the street barefoot. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my keys trying to start the car. I drove straight to Janet's, crying so hard I could barely see the road. Called the police from her phone. They came, took pictures of the bruises on my neck, listened to my statement, then went to my apartment. He was gone by the time they arrived. The dress was still there. The carved words. The horrifying photo. They documented it all. The officers said they'd request an emergency restraining order, but we all know that's just paper. They found his car abandoned near the bus station, but cameras showed he never went inside. His parents swore they hadn't seen him. His friends claimed the same. No one knows where he went. Every time my phone vibrates, I jump. Janet had to buy me clothes because I couldn't bring myself to go back home. I've been wearing her old pajamas for days. It's been 2 weeks since I last updated anyone. Thank you to everyone who's reached out with support, even the ones who told me things I didn't want to hear. After nearly a week in hiding, I finally stepped outside again. Janet has been a saint through all this, but even saints have limits. I could see it in her face, the quiet exhaustion behind her polite smile, the way her boyfriend's eyes flicked toward the guest room every time I crept through the hallway. I was always there, always trembling, always interrupting their peace. Janet works from home, and half the time she had to whisper during her therapy sessions. because I'd be having a panic attack in the next room. I hated it. Hated being the fragile guest who made everyone walk on eggshells. I owe her everything, but gratitude doesn't fix what's broken in me, or make Owen disappear. The police still haven't found him. His credit cards are untouched, his phone's dead, and every single person who ever called him a friend claims they have no idea where he is. Detective Hilda, the woman assigned to my case, looks like she hasn't had a full night's sleep in years. Her voice always sounds like gravel and coffee. She told me they'd been watching his parents' house and his best friend Brody's place, but so far there's nothing. No car sightings, no phone pings, no trail. It's like he dissolved into air. When I finally told my parents the full story, they drove down from Indiana before the call even ended. My dad went silent when he saw the photos. The bruises circling my throat like a necklace I never asked for, turning from purple to sick yellow. His jaw clenched so hard I thought he might break his teeth. He said if he ever saw Owen again, he'd end up in prison. My mom just cried, clutching me like she could squeeze the fear out of my body, asking over and over why I hadn't told them sooner. The truth was ugly, because I felt humiliated, because I thought love meant forgiving bad moods, because admitting what was happening would have made it real. Some part of me still believed I'd caused his spiral, that maybe if I'd been more patient, more gentle, more something, he wouldn't have turned into this monster. My parents didn't even argue about it. They just told me flatly I couldn't stay in that apartment another night, as if I'd planned to. I was already haunted by that room, the carved headboard, the smell of fear soaked into the walls. They begged me to come home to Indiana, to start fresh, but that would mean walking away from my job, my friends, the small independence I'd fought to build. I couldn't let Owen take that too, so we compromised. They helped me find a new apartment across town, high security building, cameras everywhere, key fob entry, layers of doors between me and the world. They even covered the deposit and first month's rent. My dad said it was the only way he'd be able to sleep at night. We kept my name off everything. No listing on the mailbox, no record tied to the address. On paper, I don't even live there. Moving day felt like performing surgery on my own life. The police had finally cleared my old apartment, but stepping back inside was like walking into a tomb. Janet came with me, and her brother, this massive guy built like a defensive lineman, stood guard while I gathered what little I could stomach taking. We brought trash bags, but I barely filled one. Everything felt tainted. Furniture, decorations, even my clothes. It was like Owen had left a layer of poison over every inch of the place. I grabbed my laptop, documents, a few pieces of clothing, and that was it. Janet held up a framed photo of the two of us from some long-ago vacation and asked if I wanted it. I just shook my head. His smile in that picture used to make my heart melt. Now, all I could see was his face the night he tried to kill me. Wild, unrecognizable. The wedding dress was gone, sealed in an evidence bag somewhere. But the headboard, that awful thing with you belonged to me forever and always carved into it, was still there. How do you clear a crime scene and leave that behind? Janet's brother unscrewed it from the frame, carried it outside, and we drove it to an empty lot on the edge of town. We set it on fire. I stood there in the dark, watching those hateful words curl and blacken, and finally crumble into ash. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe without feeling like my lungs were full of glass. The new apartment is tiny, sterile, quiet. I sleep on an air mattress because the idea of buying a real bed makes my skin crawl. My parents offered to stay longer, but I told them I needed to start getting back to normal. That was a lie, of course. There is no normal anymore. I shower with the bathroom door open, just to make sure I'll see if anyone comes in. I check under the bed every night like a child scared of monsters, except mine is real. The waiting is the worst part. Waiting for news, waiting to feel safe, waiting for the next shadow to move, because deep down, I know he's not. The first time I tried to do something as ordinary as grocery shopping, my nerves betrayed me. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The store was nearly empty. I felt it before I saw anything. That prickling crawl at the back of my neck that says someone's watching you. My heartbeat started racing so fast it drowned out the background music. I turned around slowly. Just a mother and her toddler debating granola bars. No one suspicious. I told myself I was being paranoid. Therapy was supposed to help with that. I forced a deep breath, reached for a box of Cheerios, and froze. There was a small gift bag sitting in my cart. Bright red, white tissue paper puffing out the top. It hadn't been there 30 seconds ago. I swear to God it hadn't. My vision blurred. I stumbled backward into a cereal display, boxes crashing to the floor. The mom stared at me, wide-eyed. I didn't care. I ran. Left the cart, the groceries, everything. I sprinted for my car, locked the doors, and called Detective Hilda with shaking hands. She sent a patrol to the store. The cameras didn't catch that aisle. Of course they didn't. The officer brought me the bag. Inside was a jewelry box. Inside the box, my engagement ring. The exact same one I'd returned to him months ago. Wrapped around it a piece of paper with a single word. Soon. The police say they're taking it seriously, but what can they actually do? They still don't know where he is. They've added extra patrols around my building, but that's just for show. If he could find me in a random grocery store, he can find me anywhere. I haven't left my apartment since. I get food delivered and have them leave it in the lobby. Curtains drawn, lights off, phone on silent. I spend most of my time in the closet. It's the only place that feels like a bunker. Then, this morning, Detective Hilda called. They found something in Owen's house during another search. A journal. Dozens of pages filled with plans. Detailed blueprints for how he'd win me back. Contingencies for what to do if I fought back. Some pages were stained with dried blood. They're testing to see if it's human. Hilda wouldn't tell me everything that was written. Just said it would only make things worse. But I heard the tremor in her voice. She's seen horrors most people couldn't stomach. Yet, whatever she read in that book, it rattled her, and that was enough to keep me awake all night. Staring into the dark, waiting for a sound that I pray never comes. I can't eat. My stomach twists every time I think about that one line from Owen's journal. The only one Detective Hilda read out loud. If I can't have her in this life, I'll take her to the next. That sentence keeps echoing in my head like a curse. The police have reclassified my case. It isn't stalking anymore. It's a credible plan for murder-suicide. I'm alive, technically, but I feel like I'm already living inside my own obituary. I jump at every noise, every shadow, but I refuse to vanish the way he wants me to. I won't let him write the ending. A month has crawled by since my last update. My fingers shake so badly I can hardly type, but I have to. For myself. For everyone who's been checking in. Maybe, if someone reads this, they'll see the warning signs before they end up where I am. After the grocery store gift, I stopped being a person and became a ghost haunting my own apartment. I worked from home, ordered everything online, only stepped outside if absolutely necessary, and never alone. Detective Hilda kept calling, her voice tired but steady. Always the same word. No leads, no activity, no Owen. His accounts were frozen, his phone dead, his family watched. Nothing. He'd erased himself completely. Only I could still feel him breathing somewhere close. Then came the roses, a dozen red ones delivered to my office, the office I hadn't been to in weeks. The card read, "Missing you more each day." My boss called, confused, describing the bouquet, and I nearly vomited. How did he even know where I worked? I phoned Hilda immediately. They pulled the building's footage, just a regular florist courier, order paid in cash with a prepaid card bought 2 towns away. A trail that led straight into smoke. A week later, the nightmare shifted into something worse. I was on a video call with my mom when an email pinged in. Unknown address. Subject line, our wedding photos. My blood went cold before I even opened it. The message contained dozens of images, my face edited onto wedding pictures with Owen. Me in white lace, smiling blankly at an altar. Me cutting cake. Me dancing. My eyes closed in every single shot, like a corpse made to look alive. The final picture wasn't edited. It was me, sleeping on my air mattress. The photo taken from outside my bedroom window. That same morning. He knew where I lived. I don't remember screaming, only my mother's voice through the laptop, distant and panicked, calling my name before dialing 911 from Indiana. When the officers arrived, I couldn't even speak. I shoved my phone at them and collapsed. They searched the entire building and found nothing. An hour later, Hilda arrived, her face pale under the fluorescent lights. They'd traced the email to a public library 20 minutes away. She said they were reviewing security footage right then. That night, I packed whatever fit in one bag and left. Checked into a cheap hotel under a fake name, paid cash, told no one but Hilda where I was. Not even Janet. Not even my parents. If Owen could worm his way back into my life once, I wasn't risking him doing it through them. 3 days later, my phone rang. Hilda's voice this time carried something new. Relief, mixed with dread. They had him on camera at the library. He'd shaved his head, grown a beard, changed his walk. But it was unmistakably Owen. Proof he was still here. Proof he was still hunting me. They issued an arrest warrant and promised they'd find him soon. That night, sometime after 2 a.m., I woke to a sound. Not a knock. Not footsteps. Scratching. A slow, deliberate drag of fingernails against wood. I stopped breathing. The air in the room turned thick. Electric. The scratching paused, then started again, faster. I grabbed my phone, texted Hilda. "He's here," then reached for the lamp beside the bed. My only weapon. I stood pressed against the wall, every nerve screaming. The scratching stopped. Then came the whisper. So faint, it barely reached me. "I know you're in there, babe. Just want to talk." It was him. That voice I used to fall asleep beside. Hearing it now was like being skinned alive. The door handle turned slowly. The deadbolt held. Then a metallic click. Something thin scraping inside the lock. He was trying to pick it. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be," he murmured. "We belong together. You know that. You can't hide from fate." My phone vibrated in my hand. Hilda again. "Units on the way. Stay quiet." Quiet. As if silence could save me. Owen's tone snapped from calm to fury. He started pounding the door, shouting my name, promising he'd never stop, that he'd always find me. Each hit made the hinges rattle. I could see the metal bending. I was shaking so violently I thought my knees would give out. I lifted the lamp, ready to swing. My whole body pulsed with one thought. Not like this. Then, faint at first, I heard it. Sirens, wailing closer, slicing through the night. Owen heard them too. Then the rush of footsteps, fading fast down the hall. I didn't move until I heard multiple boots in the corridor and Hilda's voice calling my name. Only then did I drop the lamp and slide to the floor, shaking, empty, alive. They missed him by minutes. Security footage showed him sprinting down the stairwell, disappearing out a side exit just as the first patrol car turned into the parking lot. But now, they had his face, and I had proof that the man who once promised me forever was still out there, and still meant it. The confirmation came like a gut punch. Owen was still in town. The man who once promised to grow old with me had been caught on camera trying to break into my hotel room. Now there was no denying it. He wasn't just lurking in my memories anymore. He was here. Detective Hilda said I couldn't stay at the hotel. It wasn't safe. If he'd found me once, he'd do it again. She mentioned moving me to a safe house, but something inside me snapped. I was done hiding. I told her to use me as bait. She thought I was out of my mind. But after running it by her superiors, they agreed. Maybe it was the only way to end this before someone died. Probably me. The plan was simple. We'd make it look like I'd moved back into my apartment, as if life was finally settling back to normal. In truth, it would be a trap. Undercover officers would be stationed everywhere, in neighboring units, in cars outside, and 2 inside my apartment itself. I'd wear a concealed panic button on my waistband. I'd pretend I was living again. The next 3 days were a blur of rehearsed normalcy. Coffee runs, grocery stops, casual walks around the block. Every move monitored, every breath heavy with the knowledge that he could be watching. I smiled for cameras, chatted with baristas, acted like a woman reclaiming her life, but inside, I felt like a loaded weapon waiting to go off. On the 4th day, the nightmare came home. I was on the couch with Netflix playing low, the glow of the TV flickering across the empty room. 2 officers hid quietly in the spare bedroom and the bathroom. My heart pounded so violently it hurt to breathe. Then, a sound. The doorknob turning. Softly. Testing. I froze. The door was locked, but that never stopped him before. I pressed the panic button. A small vibration confirmed the signal sent. Seconds later, I heard it. The scrape of a key sliding into the lock. A key. He'd made a copy. He'd kept it all this time. The door opened. For a split second, my brain didn't recognize the man standing there, his head shaved, his beard unkempt, his eyes sunken and burning. A duffel bag dangled from one hand. My throat went dry. He smiled. Miss me? Every line I'd practiced, every word I thought I'd say, disappeared. My mind was blank except for one desperate thought. Where are the police? He stepped inside and shut the door behind him. His eyes didn't leave mine for even a second. He talked like we were having a normal conversation. Said I'd been difficult to pin down. Said he always knew I'd come back here, that people are creatures of habit. I managed to whisper, "What do you want, Owen?" He laughed, but it was hollow, like something scraped clean of humanity. "What's mine?" he said. "The life you ruined. The life you threw away." He took a step closer. My fingers clenched against the couch. My heart felt like it was trying to claw out of my chest. Then his voice changed, softer, quieter, colder. He told me he'd realized something these past few weeks, that I wasn't going to come back willingly. I was too stubborn, too proud, so he had to adjust his plans. He knelt, unzipping the duffel bag. My body locked up. The sound of the zipper slicing open the silence was unbearable. Inside was a gun. He lifted it like it was an extension of his arm. His voice was calm, almost tender. "If you won't be my wife in this life," he said, "we'll start fresh in the next one." He raised the gun. Then everything shattered. The bathroom door slammed open. A voice roared, "Police! Drop the weapon!" Followed by chaos. Owen turned, his face twisting in fury, spit flying as he screamed that I'd set him up. His hand jerked. Officers shouted. The air cracked with gunfire. I hit the floor, hands over my head, the world dissolving into noise and light. When it stopped, there was silence. Heavy, deaf, suffocating. I lifted my head. Owen was down, blood spreading across the carpet, his body twitching as officers swarmed him. He wasn't dead, just hit, shoulder and leg. Enough to stop him. As they dragged him upright, he turned his head toward me. His face was streaked with sweat and blood, but his eyes still burned. "I'll find you again," he hissed. "I always find what's mine." Those were the last words I ever heard him say. The days after blurred together. Sirens, statements, paperwork, interviews. Owen was charged with everything they could throw at him. Attempted murder, stalking, breaking and entering, weapons possession. The evidence was airtight. The journal, the photos, the emails, the surveillance footage, the gun. He was denied bail. He'll be in prison for decades. People keep telling me I should feel safe now, but safety doesn't return on command. My mind still replays the sound of his voice, the scrape of his key, the way he said my name like he owned it. My therapist says that's how trauma works. It lingers even when the threat is gone. So I started over. Again. New city. New job. New name. No social media. No trace of the woman he knew. I severed every connection that could link me back. It feels like overkill, but I can breathe again. The prosecutor told me he's been writing letters from jail. Not to me. That would violate the restraining order. But to his parents and friends. The letters talk about when he gets out. About finishing what he started. I try not to think about that part. Now I'm sitting in my new apartment, in a city where no one knows who I am, typing this under a name that isn't mine. I'm not hiding. I'm surviving. I'm reclaiming what he tried to take. And if there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that evil doesn't always come wearing a mask. Sometimes it holds your hand, buys you flowers, and calls you baby. Sometimes it's the person who swore they'd never hurt you. If you're reading this, check on your friends after they leave someone, especially the ones who say he took it well. Listen when your gut whispers that something's wrong. Document everything. Tell someone. And if anyone threatens you, even half-jokingly, believe them. The red flags I ignored almost killed me, but they didn't. I don't know exactly what my future looks like, but for the first time in a long time, I believe I'll have one, and Owen will never be part of it again.